Right, welcome to the Enduro Method podcast. Joshua Rimple here with Dayne Tony, and we are going to give a quick recap of our experience down at Grinding Stone Hard Enduro in Page, Arizona last weekend. First, I'd like to give a big thanks to 2021 AMA Extreme Championship just for putting this series on. Jim Flynn for putting together the race down in Page, and everybody else who worked so hard to make it happen. It was really great. We had a lot of fun, and so we're just going to kind of go over some quick stuff about feelings before the race, before, during, and after, I guess, and then, kind of see where it goes from there.
Quick shout out to Mark Kosh and Marky and MJ. You guys are awesome. Thank you for putting on such an awesome event. And all the other sponsors who helped create this awesome AMA Extreme Championship series. We're excited about it.
Yeah. So we ended up leaving. We're up here in Driggs, Idaho, so it's about a 10-hour plus drive for us. We left early Friday morning, got in kind of late-ish, I don't know, 7, 8, 7:30.
I think it was like 6 o'clock.
Oh, there's that time change.
Yep.
So that helps a little bit. But got in Friday evening. Kind of didn't do much that night, just kind of looked around. And then Saturday, got with some people and did a little course walk. What were your first impressions? So we hadn't been on a bike at all yet. We were just walking around, kind of looking at stuff and looking at markers that were going kind of straight up rock walls. So what were your kind of first impressions?
My first impression, well, first I just saw those, so they were marked by, little plastic red bags. They honestly look like, this is going to sound terrible, but doggy poop bags, red ones. So they were marked, the course was partially marked with that, just because all of it was on rock. So I saw this cute little red bag on this rock wall right off the start, and I was like, no way, they're having us go up that. And mind you, we ride in Idaho, so this is, I would say, definitely new terrain for us. We have ridden Moab and 5 miles of hell, so that's, I would say, for me, the most similar type of terrain that I've ever ridden compared to this. But seeing that little plastic bag on that rock wall, I was going, oh my god, what am I doing? This is insane. But I'm just, we're totally unfamiliar with this, and we went over and walked over to the rock wall, and I could hardly climb up it. I actually couldn't climb up it. Louise actually did. She had those nice grippy shoes on, but she climbed up it. But still, it was definitely I'm going, well, I get to here. Yay.
Yeah, and I would say, just by listening and talking with other people, this terrain was kind of new to everybody. Mm-hmm. There was not, it didn't sound like, I didn't talk to one person who was like, oh yeah, no, this is what I ride all the time. It's like, we live in Arizona, or we live, Utah and St. George, whatever, it doesn't matter. This was still very different than what a lot of people have experienced. So that made it kind of cool. So after we kind of walked around, we did the cursory kind of beginning and end. We didn't really go that deep down on the course. Yeah, kind of did Pipeline Hill and the finish and the start, and the Amphitheater Hill was the one we were actually looking at there at the start. It was very intimidating.
Yes.
But so we did that, and then we hopped on the bikes, went across the road. There was kind of not quite a practice area, but a kind of a free ride area that we were able to go check out, and it's just very different. I mean, the rock is either super grippy or it has this mud crusted creme surfacing that would break away, and it looked like it'd be really grippy, but then if you got off your kind of center of mass at all, you would just slide out. So it was kind of interesting trying to figure out what rock was grippy and what rock wasn't. And then, and
mind you, when we get there on Friday night, one of our friends that that we race and ride with in Idaho was there, and he had ridden on Friday and had witnessed this guy, I guess, went up this thing, and there was like a side hill and his tire slipped out, and anyways they ended up having to like pull his bike out like with ropes and stuff. So he witnessed this whole thing, and he's a really great rider, and so he's telling us this, and we're like, oh my god, like what are we getting into? And so like that's sitting in the back of my head going, oh Lord. So there's like high consequence to this stuff. So even when we went to the practice loop, there wasn't really like a trail. It was like, just go up this, which already makes me super nervous, because I'm like, what if on the other side you don't know what's on the other side. So yeah, we went and rode. I was super nervous just because looking at the course, but I was also really excited to like go just get my feet wet and be like, okay, let's see how bad this really is. And we ride across the road, and then I'm sitting at the bottom, and then right away everyone just goes right up this chute, right up this rock wall, and I'm like, well, guess we're gonna figure this out in T-2 seconds. So I went up it. I think my heart rate was jacked up over 200. I mean, I think I got to the top and I was definitely shaking, but I mean, I was in second gear, held speed throughout, and it wasn't that bad. And it was like, okay, breathe. And then, one of the girls I was with, I was like, oh my God, I did it. And she's like, we should do it again. And I was like, okay, you're right. Like, I need to go do it again. So we did it again. And that just definitely helped take the edge off a little bit to be like, okay, all right, this is doable. Like, it looks like a straight facing wall, but it's actually not. I don't know if it's like the perception, but it's not like 90 degrees. It's not vertical, but it's totally intimidating. What do you think about the little ride we did on Saturday?
Same. It looks really intimidating, being unfamiliar with it, and then once you ride it, it's not as bad. Now, I do want to say that's not doing stupid things. Not stupid, but like really, because you could put yourself in a bad situation really quick by being overconfident. That's something.
Yeah, we were doing mild things.
Yeah, for sure. And like some of the stuff that some of the people were riding back there were it's big. It is very consequential if you fall. And so it's easy to ride something and feel the grip and the traction, and then try something maybe a little bit over your head and get in a bad spot really fast. So it's risky in a different way. Mm-hmm. Like usually it seems like the stuff that we typically ride, you got to work really hard to put yourself in a really bad spot, right? Like if you're doing a crazy side hill, or you got to be a really good rider to get to that spot to begin with. And I feel like stuff out there, you could not quite know where your ability, your ceiling is, and put yourself above that really fast in a bad spot because it's so grippy and it's so open, and not be aware of the consequences.
Yeah.
But so with all that being said, and then going like thinking about what's going to be on the race course, it was very nerve-wracking because you're like, well, shit, we're doing this, just fooling around, and we're going to be out on a race with ribbon.
And there was that one time where I went up one, and there had that sand or something on it, and totally, like, I mean, probably rider error some on there too, but, I just lost my back tire on this thing, and put my foot down. I had one foot on the rock hill, whatever it was, and the other on the bike, and like I couldn't move. Like if I moved, like the bike would have gone sliding down, I would have gone sliding down. So I just like stood there, and then you came up, also slid out to help me. But like in that moment I was like, oh my God, like if I'm gonna do this at the race, like nobody's gonna necessarily come and like to the rescue. I've got to figure this shit out on my own. So I definitely, like, I was feeling good, and then I did that, and I was like, now I'm back to being really nervous again.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring that up, that I had all these, it was definitely like a roller coaster of emotions. Like, I got this, I don't got this.
Yeah. Well, for sure. I mean, I feel like riding around kind of helped and it kind of didn't. Like,
Right.
you got a little bit of feel for the terrain and kind of what to expect. Like, super deep, kind of paper thin sand, and then super sticky rock that comes straight out of the sand. Right. So yeah, it was really different, really interesting, really cool. But that kind of just led up to still having no idea what the race day was going to be like. So finished out Saturday, got up Sunday. The race wasn't until noon, which actually made it, again, kind of two parts. Like, you're sitting a lot and waiting. The nice thing is you can fuel pretty well, so you have plenty of time to get food in and stuff. You don't feel super rushed in the morning.
Yeah.
All those things.
It was like bittersweet. Like, you had time to do those like super necessary things, like fuel and make sure you get, I'm an 8-hour person of sleep, but get ample amounts of sleep, and then just make sure you have everything dialed before you race. But then on the other hand, like, it's just more time. Like, I couldn't wait till noon. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on,
yeah,
noon. But we had our little Enduro Method tent set up, so, we were taking turns on that, sitting there and promoting Enduro Method, which was cool. First time doing that. And so that took my mind off of the race a little bit, I'd say. Kept my brain more occupied than just sitting around.
Yep. So, get on the start line. Starts off in this tiny little sandy hill. Maybe not even a hill, like a bump. So you're kind of just facing up a little bit, and then a hard left and around through the start, and you're off. And so that was really fun. It's always, for me, I get pretty nervous leading up, and then 3, 2, 1, go. Maybe the first like 2 or 3 minutes, kind of where everybody gets a little sorted, and then once that sets in, then it's just fun.
What was your start like?
I like, personally,
Yeah.
it was okay. I was probably so I rode A class. So I was on the second wave behind the pros. Not fantastic on the start, honestly. I would say in the top 15, maybe somewhere in there. So it wasn't bad, but just kind of settled in. And then like that first section where that little side hill on the rock, kind of everybody had to really funnel down, which was actually kind of nice. I made it to the first obstacle. It was Hoodoo Hill, I think, was kind of the first major choke point, if you will, and got through that pretty quickly. Like, there was
a huge bottleneck by the time we got there.
Yeah, there was a bottleneck, but it wasn't massive. Like, you could still work your way through it. So I ended up, there was a bunch of people piled up on the left. I went right, worked my way down and up and around, and got past a bunch of people there and got out before what I later saw as on photos and stuff, that it was pretty jammed up. And then from there, it was super fun. I thought the course was awesome. Like, it was challenging, definitely scary at times, but totally doable, right? There were, and I'm kind of jumping ahead to the first half of the course was definitely easier. And then the second half, and the course was I think it was around 16 miles per lap. The second half, it definitely ramped up a little bit. The consequences were a little bigger. The lines were a little gnarlier. And there were 2 spots for me that were mandatory help zones. And so we had 3 people. We kind of grouped up, the guy in front. I think I was in the back of the 3 that we all agreed to help each other. And so we got through it. And this was the one, Question Mark Hill. That's what it's called. So a bunch of people were banging the hard rock slab on the left, which was awesome. And I have my own personal goal of attempting that next year if we get back, because I can't quit thinking about it and how I flaked out on it. So that's a goal of mine. But I went up the crack straight. We helped each other get through it. And then I'm trying to think the other one that was kind of a mandatory help spot.
At the end?
No. Anyways, it was really fun because I did stuff that I wouldn't necessarily have thought was in my wheelhouse yet. Like, yeah, I'll put that on the back burner and maybe come back to that in a year. Like, I would like to do that. And then being in a race situation, maybe the other line's jammed up with other bikes, and you have a choice. It's not that you have to do the more hard line, but if you make that choice and you do it, it's super fun and rewarding, and so it pushes you way out of your comfort zone. And so it was a lot of fun, and that's one of the things for me with racing that I think is so cool. And I don't think racing's necessarily for everybody, and I don't think everybody has to do it, but I think if you are on the fence about it, it's an awesome opportunity to get out there, be with other people who are pushing the boundaries too, having a lot of fun. Everybody's super friendly, super nice. Yes, you are competing, but at the bottom of the day, you're also out there on your bike having fun. So
At the
it's
bottom
a blast.
of the day?
Yeah, it's like baseball.
Okay. Yeah. What did you think? What do you feel as though you learned from the race about yourself?
I got a bunch of mixed emotions about it. I've learned that I do okay, and then so I finished one lap, and then got to the bottom, back to the bottom of question mark hill.
Would you say that was about 3/4
Yep,
of the way through?
About 3/4 through on lap 2, and I spent. So when I finished lap 1, I was damn near halfway to the 4.5 hour cutoff time. I think I'd have to look exactly, but I was around 2:15, 2 hours and 15 minutes for one lap. So it was within reason to think that I could get through another lap. And I spent most of lap 2 when I was riding hoping to get timed out, because there were a couple obstacles that I was scared to go over again.
What were those?
There was a downhill on ice waterfall.
Ice falls or something?
Ice falls, something like that. That was super sketchy, that you kind of crept your front tire over and then just prayed that you stayed left and didn't fall into the hole on the right on the stone. So that was the main one. And what's so stupid is I ended up even doing what I did and not riding aggressively and not pushing. I got to that stupid obstacle and went over it, and I was like, that's what I was spending all this time worked up about.
It's so funny what we make up in our heads sometimes.
Yeah. So that's something that I'm going to work on, and just be more aggressive and keep pushing, because the other part that's hard on these things is 4.5 hours is a long time. You're riding pretty hard terrain for the most part the entire time. You're getting a little bit of breaks through sand washes and transfers, but then if you're really pushing, that's not a break at all. And so, those top dudes, it's incredible what they can do, because they're able to hammer that pace the entire time. It's pretty insane. And
How many laps did Cody Webb do?
I think all top 5 riders finished 4 laps, which is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool to see that being possible, and then be like, okay, where can I improve? Where can I take that and kind of look at it and break it down and improve it for me? And for me, it's pushing constantly. And so mentally, having the confidence to know that you can do it, right? Because there is a lot of this that's so mental, and when you are in that place where you're kind of thinking, can I do it? Can I do it? I don't know. I'm scared. You're constantly riding a little slower. There's all these things. So being able to shut that voice down, basically, and just be like, I can do this. And again, not doing something stupid and putting you or other riders at risk, but really getting out there and giving it all you got, and again, 4 hours is a long time, so there's other factors. There's physical breakdown, there's cramping, there's exhaustion, there's all those things that you got to take into account. My grip started to really cramp up around the 3 hour mark, but physically I didn't feel worked. It was very odd.
Hashtag Enduro Method.
Yeah. And so we carry these LMNT salts. Well, no, but it's LMNT salts. It's Element Labs. And they work really well for this. So I ended up, usually you mix it with like 16 ounces of water. It's a shit ton of sodium, potassium, magnesium. But when I start cramping like that, I'll just stop, pull one out of my bag, and take the powder right in my mouth. So a whole packet, one swig of water. It's pretty brutal, but it works. And so when I was cramping up moment, I did that. And then within 15 minutes, they pretty much released, and I was kind of good to go again. And so then it just came down to me feeling like physically I could go harder. Mentally, I have like the speed limiter on.
The governor?
Yeah, the governor's kicking in. It was very odd. And so, again, super stoked on how I rode. At the end of the day, you are where you are, right? Like, that's the other thing I like about racing, barring outside maybe, your bike breaks or something like that. I can't sit here and complain about my finish or where I ended up, because that's all I had at the moment. Now, what I can do is take those things that I think I can really improve upon, kind of the lower level hanging fruit, if you will, and really work to get those things up for the future.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's great.
What about you?
Well, I was going to quickly ask about your nutrition during the race. Did you, after lap 1, did you eat anything in the pits?
Well, so goal on this kind of stuff is anything over, so if you got a race that's around let's say 60 minutes, you really don't need to fuel for that. Now, during the race, obviously you need to fuel prior, right? When you're reaching about the 2-hour mark, you should definitely have some experience in that zone to know what you need. But it's not uncommon for somebody to be able to hammer for 2 hours without needing to fuel during the race and put out like 100% effort. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe somebody's like, well, I need, I've done this and I really fall off a little bit, so I need something at the hour mark to get me through that last hour. When you start going 2+ hours, you need to fuel during the race to be able to sustain that high level output. And so one of the a good goal would be, if you're looking at a 4-hour race, every hour you need somewhere between 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrate. And so if you don't, let's say you go 3 hours without eating,
you're just digging yourself a hole.
You're going to probably hit that bonking point pretty hard. And when you do hit it, it's too late. And so being able to, whether you're putting stuff, and again, it's so personal, like what works with your digestion, your gut, everything like that. So you really need to experiment with this stuff and then have a plan, and don't do new things on game day.
Yeah. Don't try something on race day.
So for me, I did decent. I had a packet of energy gummy gels or whatever the hell those things are, at like somewhere around the 1 hour point. When I got back to the pits, I pounded like half a Gatorade and a banana when I fueled after lap 1. So I was like 2:15, 2.5 hour mark, something like that. And then the last lap probably didn't do as good a job. I did pound one of those salts at one point for the cramping. I can't remember if I had another thing of gummies. I might have. I thought it went pretty good all in all. Like I said, physically I felt, I'm tired, worked, all those things, but I wasn't like exhausted.
Right.
Mentally exhausted. Yes. Physically, could have done more. Hope to do more in the future.
Oh, yeah, thanks for that. That's awesome.
So, how was your experience?
Mine, so right off the start, shout out to Kaylin who got the whole shot. I was racing women's pro. There were 5 of us. I had actually raced with Luis and Kylie at King of Motos. So I knew I was definitely sitting behind them. And so, and my mindset going to the race is similar to Josh. I just try to be like, it is what it is. We all get nervous. It's where we're at. And so I try to be pretty quote unquote chill about it. And so started, I actually ended up last, like out of the get-go, like within the first, 300 yards or whatever, I was definitely last, and I was like, well, shit. But I mean, and I was like, don't let this get in your head. And I was like, we are literally 200 yards in. Like, don't let this bug you. And I was just like, just do your thing. And so quickly found out how to ride this stuff. I had a unique experience where there was a pretty steep down, and right at the bottom of the hill, one of the girls had crashed right below me, and I panicked, and there was a guy to the right of her with just his bike stopped, so I just headed straight towards his rear tire. And so my front tire and his rear tire hit, but like I'm coming in hot. And so like our bikes, I'm like showing a scissoring motion, but like our bikes literally like scissored and got stuck together. And so like, I'm not kidding you, like my front fender and his rear fender were like scissored together and stuck. So I wasted so much energy like pulling my bike out of his rear tire. But so like I pulled that free, got it free, and was like totally in the back again, and was like, here we go again, it's okay. And then just trying to recover on like I don't know if there was like a little tiny transfer section. And then that's where I pulled into, Hoodoo Hill, where there was like a massive bottleneck. But, you know, like bottlenecks are there and they're going to happen. But you just got to kind of be patient and kind of got to push your way through, honestly.
Yeah, I was actually going to say patience is not a virtue. You
know, like I see a bunch of people sitting at the bottom complaining, and it's like, get your butt up there. Let's go, you know? Yeah. So, and then move. Like people, you know, it's like traffic. It goes. It's traffic. You know, it's not, you know, I guess if there's like a car wreck up ahead and you're at dead stop, but, you know, people helped each other and made it through this. I literally was showered in sand. Like at first I was like, okay, this is not great. And then it kept happening. Like the guy in front of me was just spinning his wheels in this like tiny fine sand. And it was literally showering me. Like I remember looking over at Kaylin and being like, is this real? And it was so much so that like I had sweat in my goggles that it was like building up a film in my goggles. And so I had to figure out, I'll never forget that. So I was like, how do I take my goggles off? Because I'm going to like get my eyes covered in this silt stuff. So I luckily timed it really well and quickly wiped my goggles so I could see. But the amount of sand that went in my chest protector and everything, and in every nook and cranny, there was sand. Anyways, I'm sure everyone who participated in that understood the quote-unquote sand shower. But anyways, you know, I pushed myself through that. I definitely, you know, kind of barged in a little bit. I was definitely torn. I was stuck right in between the left line and right line. And I was just kind of going back and forth, left or right. And the left was like, I think they're moving a tad bit faster, because I would watch where people were up top, up above where the crux was. And I was like, well, that guy was there, and the guy that was on the right line is you know, just at the top of cresting that. So I was like, I'm gonna go left. So I went left. Pretty sure I had some help on that, just pushing over this ledge, and then got through that. And then I was kind of I almost want to say like on my own, you know. That's where you start getting more into the features. As you said, the race kind of started out with a little more mellower, quote unquote mellower features.
Relative.
And then progressed as you went around the lap. But you know, the first one for me, coming off of Hoodoo Hill, there was like a kind of like a small step up. And for me, looking at it, I was like, here we go. And I did it the first try, and it felt good. Like, I don't know what I did, but I was like, okay, that's how you do it. And like all week I've been saying, I don't know who rode my bike on Sunday because of how far I got. But anyways, there's a lot of things, especially in the first half of the course, it was actually really good for me how it like kind of ramped up, because then I got a little taste of everything and kind of was able to start to figure out, you know, body positioning on the bike going over these things, and then building confidence going over them and being like, oh, okay, it's not that bad. There was definitely like one that I think I got hung up on that I had to I think I redid it twice. But all the rest of those features right off the get-go, I did first time around. So that definitely helped build my confidence moving into the harder stuff later on in the course. There was that one where you basically, it's like it was on their Instagram where you kind of launch off this like side ledge, which of course to me was no way. But there was another option to go to the right where you had to, you know, get your front tire up and then have help pulling your bike over it. And I went and did that, but I had a win there because I totally wheelied my front tire up on that ledge. And it was probably like, what, 3 or 4 feet? 3 feet?
Yeah, I mean, to get your front tire up, the bike was almost vertical.
Yeah, so I was so stoked on that. And I remember looking at the volunteer right there. I was like, did you see that? I totally meant to do that. And he's like, nice job.
He's like, okay, move along, move along.
But I just had all these little wins throughout the race. Like that one, I mean, I don't know if I've ever done that before, but it felt so good when I did it. It's like, I don't golf, but I feel like if you were to golf and hit the ball perfectly, that's totally what that felt like. And I had a ton of those in the beginning, and there was another cool one. This was closer to the end. Check 3 is what I was told it was, but then on the scoring, I think it's actually called check 2.
Yeah, it's the last scored check.
The last scored check. So right before that, there was this, to me, it was super scary. It was kind of like a bowl with a hard left.
Right.
Hard right.
Into the bowl.
You went into the bowl and then you went left. It was like a wee. I'm like.
Yeah, either way.
Anyways, it was, a steep, semi-steep up, and then you had to like turn to the left in the middle of this like bowl thing.
Yeah, before that scored check. Like,
yes, before.
Yeah, like 5 minutes before, something like that.
Right before there. But Kylie was actually right in front of me, and I watched her do it, and she crushed it. Like, she made that look so good. I think she might have tipped over at the top, but regardless, I was like, damn, that was awesome. And then it was super cool. I mean, I'm looking at this going, oh shit. And it was super cool. She looks at me and she takes her hands and she's giving me like a come on motion, like come here. And so that was super cool. Like she's like, I was like, she believes in me. I can do this. So I went up and oh my God, I got to the top. And so like there was the left-hander and then I don't know how wide that was.
Yeah, you turned around like a U-turn essentially, and then there was kind of an overhang that was all off camber.
But before that, right when I got to the top, I tipped over to the left. Right at the top of that.
You don't want to do that.
My foot, I'm not kidding you, it felt like 6 inches away from this ledge, which if I would have fallen backwards off the ledge was, 20 feet to the ground. My bike tipped that way. I mean, I definitely pooped my pants. I couldn't move. Kylie helped me lift my bike, but I was like, totally freaking. And then you had to scooch on this side hill, total high exposure, and then go up this, a step up to get over in a crack. And so I would say this race was, there was high exposure things like that, where you're like, if I would have tipped over and gone another couple inches, who knows? Oh my gosh. But I was definitely when you get that feeling of vertigo on top of something, I was like, whoa. And then after doing that, I had to side hill my bike on this super scary ledge. And then, so that was that one. And that was the start of the sketchy stuff. And there was other things like that. There was another side hill one that I totally walked my bike. I honestly, looking at it, I was like, I should have just rode that, but I totally walked it because I was too scared. And had one, mind you, this race, I had a lot of help. Like I said, up that ledge, I had to wait. I wheelied my tire and then waited for someone to help me. On a handful of features, I definitely had help, which was awesome. And I think that's what this sport is. You help each other do these crazy things, and then I'm hopped up on adrenaline the whole day from doing it and being scared. And there was definitely a ton of moments where I would do something and I got over it and my fist is in the air and I'm like fist pumping and hooting and hollering. Like, if you're ever behind me in that, I don't know if I need to apologize, but maybe you heard it. It's awesome. That's how excited I was doing some of this stuff. And then my other, technique was, as after check 3 or check 2, whatever, after the last time scored thing, after they hauled my bike out of the hole with a rope, I think by the time I got there, enough people had launched their bikes and probably either hurt themselves or the bikes that they were like, let's get a rope here and pull people out of this. I don't know if you guys, if you haven't seen it yet, MJ Moto Photos has this photo that she captured of this bike, like probably it looks like 10 feet in the air, that's got shot out of this hole, and that bike in that photo just like is the depiction of this race. Yeah, it's an epic photo. Totally epic photo, and there's like a handful of their fails, but that one to me was like, yep. And after that there was, oh my gosh, just gnarly things. There was a lot of things I threw my bike down. Even there was one little ledge that you kind of had to pop off of, but I totally got in my head about it and just like threw my bike down it. And then the waterfall one that you talk about, I mean, the guy in front of me didn't ride his bike, so I was like, if he's not riding it, that you just scared me. I'm not riding it. And so there was definitely like this race for, me and maybe some of the B or C riders was a team effort. But I thought that was fun, and I think that's what hard enduro is about. You're looking at this stuff going, yeah, right. No way. But, with people, you can get it done. And we ride that kind of stuff, out, for fun on a normal weekend warrior ride. You get to a section and you're helping each other through it. So, it is a race and people are, trying to go as fast as you can. But, for the people that, need help, you're kind of teamed up with each other and you get out of the way for the people that are on lap 4. But it was really unique. I think one of their descriptions was it was like you're riding on Mars, and it totally was. But coming from, like I said, a background of not riding that kind of thing, it was intimidating, but doable. And I would say this race, out of any race that I've ever done, has like given me so much more confidence in my riding, and I did so many things that I normally wouldn't do. I feel like I'm a broken record, but I mean, like I said, I don't know who rode my bike on Sunday, but it really forced you out of your comfort zone. I mean, I think you could agree with this as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Where the markers are there, so they expect you to do it. And you're like, well, if that's what it is, they obviously believe that we can-ish kind of do it, so off you go. And so, yeah, I ended up making it to Hill on my first lap. So I didn't get to finish one lap. When I got to Hill, there was definitely a handful of people trying to get up to the right of it. Not up the face, but up the right, there was people helping each other up the crack. And, I look at my watch and it's 3:45, and, I actually had, energy-wise, I felt really good. I don't know if I was, like, pumped on adrenaline to the max, and I mean, I had the salts in my Camelback, and I was really good about eating, but I felt really good physically. This race for me, compared to like King Amoto's, this race was more commitment and like get scared, whereas King Amoto's for me was like just relentless
grind.
Yeah, like I felt way more physically tired at King Amoto's because I was just everything I could quote unquote do, I always, when we talk about that race, like I was saying, like everything was like right at the threshold of my ability, and it was just grinding. So it was like way more physically demanding for me versus this one where granted it was physically hard, but it was just whether or not you wanted to commit to these things, and then like trying to stay loose and relax and recover on the in-betweens. Yeah. It's like, and then mellow, and then mellow. The is my heart rate spiking. But I got to Question Mark Hill and then just decided to help bikes up that. So I was like, well, I can help people try and finish this. I would have honestly liked to try and finish, but people were on their second and third lap going through, and then
what time did you get to Question Mark Hill?
I think it was like around 3:45. So I actually ended up being there for 45 minutes or so.
Oh.
Helping people, and then like I'd kind of look down where my bike was because I tried to put it in the line, and I definitely wanted some people to go before me that were there, so I was like waiting for them to go too, and then I would have tried. But that's just, and it was fun too. Like I still had a good time helping these people up with their bike, and I think they appreciated it. I'm sure they did. But yeah, this race was definitely special. I can't say. It's definitely one of a kind, I would have to say.
I think it's pretty unique on the series for sure. And listening to some other people talk about it from the East Coast and those that could make it, it's unique for sure. It's different. It was really fun. And big shout out to everybody, all the volunteers, everybody that was out there working the course and pointing riders in the right direction to help them stay safe. And it was a blast.
Shout out to all the people that helped me.
And everybody that signed up and participated too. It's really cool to see how many people come out. And hopefully every race just gets a little bigger. For us, we're not going to be able to make Rev Limiter, which is the next one, or most likely not going to make Last Dog Standing. We will be at Donner and Sticks and Stones. So really looking forward to those. And then in between that, we're going to try and hit up, I'm going to mispronounce it probably, but the hard enduro that Evan Ask is putting on up in Montana, the Bentonite Brawl.
I think that's right.
Hopefully. So I think that's coming up pretty quick. That's like April 17th. So that's a good in-betweener for us to Donner. Maybe we heard some rumors for the Enduro Fest. I'm not sure about that one. That might be one that we try and get to if we could. But that kind of looks like it's what's on our schedule coming up. But I'm really looking forward to Donner. I think that's going to be really fun, especially being a ex-Californian. That kind of granite, round rock terrain's going to be pretty sweet. So I'm looking forward to that. And then looking forward to returning to Sticks and Stones. That's just an insane, amazing terrain and beautiful place. So that one's a lot of fun.
I hope they run the pro women's course with the pro men.
Yeah,
that'd be really cool.
So any thoughts in closing here?
One thing I would like to say is, if you're hesitating to race or you do race, and if you felt as though your physical, if you felt physically limited at the Grinding Stone or any race that you've done recently, insert Enduro Method. I can't attribute that enough to, we haven't ridden bikes since King Amoto's.
And before that, since end October.
Right. So, and nothing replaces seat time. But, you know, if you have a full-time job and you're working Monday through Friday 8 to 5 and you're unable to, you know, dedicate a lot of time on the seat, to go on rides and stuff. And that's where Enduro Method can maybe come into play and help you prepare for your next race physically. I mean, I was handing out a lot of snacks throughout the race.
Nice. Yeah, I would say, you're depending on how much you can ride, and even if you are on that professional level, you can't replace what the gym can provide. Now, the professional level gym experience would look different than maybe amateur level, especially in season, out of season, all that stuff. But the level of riding out there is just increasing and increasing, and it's to the point now where if you're leaving those things off your plate, you're really missing out. So being able to up your level all the way around. So like it's like rising tide raises all boats, right? Like if you think of that for yourself, if you're a phenomenal rider, but your physical fitness or strength even is holding you back, by bringing up your lowest point,
lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah, is gonna up your overall potential, right? So the wider your base, the higher you can climb, kind of idea. And if you're on amateur level or lower even, and you're not able to, it's kind of hard to think about, but if you can't ride well enough to get training aerobically and anaerobically on the bike, you're really missing out by not hitting those things in a safer environment. So like, if you're pretty new to riding, you cannot go set up a course and session it fast enough to be able to increase your fitness. What you're doing is you're increasing your bike skill and you're increasing your riding ability, which is fantastic, and that obviously has to happen, but you're missing out a massive point of being able to actually increase your aerobic and anaerobic capacity. Because what you're doing out on the bike, you're trying to figure out how to stay on it and not crash. And so there's all kinds of different adaptations that are taking place, but you're not able to truly express some of the physical capacity that you could if you were on like an assault bike or a rower or running or lifting weights and doing that stuff. So bringing all these things together into a comprehensive program that is going to help benefit that and geared toward increasing fitness on the bike. I mean, that's what we train for.
Yeah, and not to say that it makes it makes it easier, but you're always still suffering.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the suffering doesn't get easier. You just go faster.
Yeah.
Coming up soon, maybe the next podcast or one more down the road, we will be going more in depth about what Enduro Method is, how it works, and all that stuff. So stay tuned for that coming up.
Yeah. And if you guys have anything you would like us to talk about on a podcast, performance, nutrition, we definitely have a lot of things on the docket. But if you have anything specific, shoot us a DM. And we'll be happy to chat about it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for listening. This is our third Enduro Method podcast.
Yep.
And we look forward to doing more. And we'll catch you next time.
Be back soon. Thanks.